makes
Very
me so
nice
happy.
intro.
It
Great
makes me so
intro.
happy. And I just like that everybody has their own. So it, like once I see it, because I don't watch it until I go live because I kind of want to see, like obviously I know the colors, but I don't watch the full thing. I
It's
just set
pretty
it
cute.
up. Yeah.
It's
So
pretty cool. Good
anyways,
job.
I'm happy. So welcome everyone back to my 32 fan series, 32 different teams. I have Rocky here. I talked to Rocky last year. Rocky and I are also friends. So there's that. So just calling that out. Rocky is a Texas fan and therefore we will always be friends because, you know, that's just how this goes.
Yes.
But I am excited to talk to you. I'm excited anytime feel like I get to talk to people that I know about something that we wouldn't just like normally talk about. So this is super cool to chat with. So if you just want to introduce yourself, let people know whatever it is you want them to know about you, and then we'll just get started.
Okay. I'm Rocky Osborne. I am a graduate of the University of Texas. So like you said, we're both big Longhorn fans. We actually met together at Texas State in the PhD program. You finished way before I did, but I did finally finish.
Hey, as long as you finished.
Finished, right? So I'm a massive sports fan, mostly college football, but I do love the NFL, basketball, college, and NBA. I like to watch rugby. I'm a huge played rugby forever, coached rugby, refed rugby. So we're a big rugby family, and just sports. I really love collegiate sports, but I love my Tennessee Titans. So of course, every Sunday, still watching all the NFL and Monday night and Thursday night. And now it feels like they're going to have a game every day of the week.
Every day. Yeah, I know.
So
now,
raised in Austin, Texas, been here my whole life, love it, but travel a lot and get to meet people and students and athletes all over the world. And it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I think, we've talked about this before kind of offline, but I always tell people like, if you can have friends around you that travel a lot, that explore the world and see different things and can help you see different things, there's nothing better because it's like, this was my experience there. Wait, you did that? Wait, hold, you know what I mean? And so it just like brings a different dynamic. So well-traveled people are always my favorite people. Just because I feel like you can bring me different things and I can like learn through you, or, you can tell us more than about you see across the world. Cause everybody thinks that the place they live is the best place ever. And it's like, no, there's way better.
I do love living in Austin, Texas, but there are so many amazing places in the world and
seriously. And amazing countries. So anyways, so I appreciate that. So let's talk about those Tennessee Titans because we talked last year and you were kind of like, listen, we got a new coach. We'll see, whatever, like it is what it is.
I actually rewatched last year's episode. Thank you for inviting me back. Last year, you and I talked about the Tennessee Titans and I was realistic and had them still with not the best expectations, and they didn't even meet those. So, but one thing I did get right was Pollard. The running back Pollard coming in and being an impact player. I was happy that the Titans got him. So let's see if they can add even more pieces. So we'll talk about it.
I love it. So 2024 season, how was it for you? At what point did you say, oh, hell, just get that first round pick? This isn't it. And then what song do you have that describes that season last year?
All right. So thoughts on being the worst team in the NFL and going 3-14, which was way worse than the 6-11 that the previous coach got fired for. And thoughts on moving to an offensive minded coach who was 5 years the offensive coordinator, the Bengals, yet nothing improved on the offense, nothing of substance or no significant improvement whatsoever on any offensive stat. And I went back and looked at the numbers, and we'll talk about it in a minute, but I know it takes time to get the right, offensive line, the right receivers, of course, the right quarterback, which is always a moving piece with the Titans. We'll get to the draft in a bit, but the 2024 was not good football. There was never momentum. There was never a plan. It felt like I never understood what the plan was for having an offensive minded head coach. I never understood what the plan was. And it was an unfortunate showing on the field last year. I mean, when you go 1-7 at home, there wasn't even like defend your home territory pride. So I'm glad I wasn't like flying up to Nashville for the home games, because other than being downtown partying, it was
Good thing that Vanderbilt and Texas game like wasn't at the same time where you could go over and watch the Tennessee Titans
I
play.
wanted it to be. We talked
I
about
know you wanted it to be, but good thing it
to be.
wasn't.
No, I would
But
have still gone
you
even
would
if we
have gone.
lost.
So
Oh,
I
yeah.
will say you're right. You're right. That's what you do as fans. You just show up and you cheer and you're like, go team. Okay. Well, I
Mhm.
will say there was one point in the season, I don't remember what game it was, where I was watching Will Levis. He literally was just like running and he just fumbled. Like nothing was happening. He was running and fumbled. And I thought, I can't. I cannot continue to engage with this. Like, so
It's been some bad. It was some bad football. Let me
yeah.
close this because some all of a sudden people want to message me. So
Of course, that's how it always
go
happens.
ahead. Go ahead. I have
So what song do you think describes your 2024 season?
Well, my first thought when you asked me that was "Loser" by Beck. I'm a loser, but I don't want to be that mean. So I'm gonna go with "Friends in Low Places" by Garth Brooks. Being
Yes.
Nashville, I had to go with a country song, so I
Classic.
went with "Friends in Low Places."
I love that. You could never go wrong with Friends in Low Places by Garth Brooks, like ever for anything.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so season ends. You realize, okay, we're getting the number one pick because we're the worst team in the NFL.
Right.
What were you thinking during the offseason, though? Free agent moves. How are you feeling? Obviously, I know there's things about the coach that you said actually in our episode last year that you weren't really excited. You didn't really love it, but you were like, okay, cool. Let's see, maybe. After the season ended, though, and you did a little bit of research, how are you now feeling about that coach and what were you feeling in the offseason?
Again, everything takes time. It's rebuilding. The only my caveat is this coach, this was his first year as a head coach. I still don't understand what the plan is. Looking at all the drafts, they pretty much swapped offense and defense for just different players. They did bring in a little more experience with Tyler Lockett, and we'll talk about that. But I'm just confused. The issue for a while has been, protecting the quarterback, a good offensive line,
Mm-hmm.
and they had a lot of offensive line turnover, but let's see how long it takes for them to come together and click as a unit and work together as a unit. And behind a rookie quarterback, that's going to be some growing pains for sure.
For sure. Yeah. Did you all make any moves in the offseason that you were kind of like, I see this path? Or were you kind of like, come on, please? I guess Tyler Lockett, maybe.
Tyler Lockett, I love, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because not only did he put up huge numbers, going back to Kansas State, being Big 12 and Texas was in the Big 12,
Yeah.
we saw Tyler Lockett just shine, especially a massive spark on special teams. We just saw him rack up the stats. He was an All-American, but when he got to Seattle, he got to the perfect fit, right? He got to play for a championship team at the time. But he was a huge spark for Seattle. So he averaged, 25 yards per kick return. That's huge sparks on offense that really can get an offense going, which is something the Titans need. He had 4 different seasons with over 1,000 yards. But the really great thing I love about Tyler Lockett coming is that he wasn't just putting up stats on the field. He was winning like the Spirit of Seattle Seahawks awards. He
I like that.
embodied what it meant to be a great teammate there. And that kind of leadership, just like we talked about with Calvin Ridley coming last year, that kind of leadership is what the Titans need, especially when you're going to have Calvin Ridley on one side and probably Tyler Lockett on the other. For a young quarterback, those kind of experienced receivers who know how to help the quarterback stay alive and keep on his feet, because we know that's what Cam Ward likes to do, is keep the play alive to throw, right? So those kind of experienced, smart receivers who've been there, done that for high-level teams, that is going to be a huge benefit. So I love the pickup of Tyler Lockett in the offseason to add to Calvin Ridley.
I like that. Any other pickups that you liked? I know you all have I think you all got a offensive lineman from the Steelers, I think.
Yeah, so they picked up, and I went and looked at that because I was like, what's happening with this offensive line? Let me look at my notes. They picked up eight new offensive line players, and they cut 5, including some names we've known on the Titans for a while, like Petit Frere and Prince. So they must really be not liking what they're seeing and want this fresh start. So they're bringing in some offensive line off waivers, off, undrafted free agents, unrestricted free agents. So we'll see what they piece together. Hopefully, after a year of being in the head seat, Callahan has more an idea of what he's looking for and what he can build with Cam Ward, because that is a unique, special athlete, special player. So, but you did ask me who am I excited about? At being a Texas Longhorn, Gunnar Helm in this coming to the Titans. And for those not familiar with Gunnar Helm's game, he's one of those players that was bought into development, bought into patience. He was behind a high draft pick at Texas, and he just learned and developed. And when it was his time to shine, he goes from 0 catches and 0 touchdowns his first year to 60 catches, 786 yards, and 7 touchdowns. He was one of those go-to players, third down, key moments, clutch guys that Quinn Ewers really developed a rapport with and relationship with on the field. So I think seeing Gunnar Helm coming in young with Cam Ward is a great time for him to build with him. And eventually they might find that connection too. So Gunnar Helm, he's really developed his game to his athleticism. He's a very willing blocker. He hurdles players. That was the thing.
And you know what else I just thought of? I don't think he has a lot of drops either.
Very few drops. He is reliable, very reliable. And we've even seen him this last year just make some athletic catches, contested athletic catches in key moments. So I think he's going to be really ready to start getting some reps early with the Titans. So,
I always say anytime a fan base is like on Twitter going, where is Gunnar Helm? Or like, where is so-and-so? Like that lets you know like how the fan base really feels about said player. And so I feel like there's lots of times where we were like, can we throw the ball to Gunnar Helm, please? You don't see him, like throw the ball.
He was clutch, absolutely clutch.
And so how did you feel about the pickup of Cam Ward? Obviously you probably saw it coming from a mile away because
it was the prediction pretty early on.
Yeah. How did you feel about that? Because you said at the beginning of this that the Titans have an interesting situation when it comes to drafting quarterbacks. How did you feel when you knew he was going to be the guy?
So I watched Cam Ward a lot because he was with Miami. Miami was a top team all year long. I watched Cam Ward a lot, knowing he was probably going to be one of the top quarterbacks, and Tennessee was going to need a quarterback. So I kind of followed a few of the ones. Early in the season, we thought, Quinn Ewers would be a top quarterback. That didn't happen. But there were lots of quarterbacks in this draft. There were a lot of them, right?
Yeah.
Cam Ward started getting lots of hype, Heisman hype and things. And the thing I really enjoyed watching about Cam Ward, 2 things. One is the way he leads his team. It feels like his team follows him. There has been games where they are down and he puts the team on his shoulders, and he has a legit NFL arm. Yes, he has the athleticism with his feet. He had, scored many touchdowns with his feet, but he looks to throw, keep plays alive to throw. But the stat that I think Tennessee Titan fans should be most excited about, especially when we talk about going to this offensive-minded coach, a terrible stat. Most numbers were pretty even of the passing yards, rushing yards, all that. But a stat that went downhill so badly from a team that was already bad at it was turnover margin. So they went from -6 the year before to -17 in turnover margin last year. And we know that has to do with, receivers in and out, quarterbacks in and out, O-line's a mess. There's lots of things that go into turnovers. But Cam Ward protects the football. I see here he had of 39 TDs to only 7 interceptions. Of his 454 passes, that's a 1.5% turnover rate, interception rate. That is fantastic. And also in his 3 years, 2 at Washington State and 1 at Miami, 0 fumbles lost. 0 fumbles lost. Titans have lost 2 or 3 in a game. Seriously, especially you just mentioned the quarterback fumbling and bumbling the ball. We remember those, and they're always like either fourth, either red zone turnovers or way back in their own end turnovers. They're just turnovers are always crucial, but it feels like Titans find a way to have them when it hurts the most, So anyway, to bring in a quarterback that is dynamic and leads his team, by putting the work on the field. And when I don't know if you watch some of the off-season kind of the videos and things put out of him, he seems like a really humble, hardworking, I'm here to prove it on the field, team player kind of guy. And I'm excited about that because the Titans need a dynamic player that he reminds me kind of CJ Stroud in that leadership role, that young, hot, sharp leadership that I'm just going to come in and work. So
I love that.
Yeah, I'm hoping he has that kind of put the team on your back energy that CJ Stroud brought to the Texans.
Okay. I like that. Was there anybody, so this is kind of a weird question though, because like when your team's not very good, you're just like draft whoever, I don't care, get anybody in because we need everything and we'll just kind of figure it out. Was there anybody that you all drafted that you were kind of like, why did we get that guy? Or were you like, whatever, like, sure, if he can make a difference.
This point, any exciting youth that they feel can add competition or even compete for a legit spot. The team is so bad and it is rebuilding. It's not, it is, I think they're starting from ground zero again, all around Cam Ward, and it's going to be a whole new program. The defense, gives up almost every fourth down. I think they gave up 78% of fourth down attempts. Like there's the rushing they've given. Yes, they gave up. Oh, I'm sorry, 76%, 10 for 13 opponents last year on fourth down attempts. That's not good. So I think they need to get they need whatever they can do to bring some more physicality and toughness to the lines, or a little more. I think the identity of the team needs to be established under this coach. And I'm looking forward to seeing it build, but I still don't know what the identity is.
Yeah.
And maybe it forms behind Cam Ward.
Yeah.
His toughness.
Yeah. Ooh. 2 years in a row, though, you've gotten some pretty good studs from Texas that has went to the Titans. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And, we added Tavondre Sweat to Keandre Coburn, and then added Gunnar Helm, and then David Benda this year, linebacker from Texas.
Oh, did they pick him up?
Yes, they did. As of right now, he's a signed undrafted free agent as of now. Okay. So let's see if he can make a practice squad, maybe a roster, but he's one of those sneaky good players that is a fantastic role fit and one of those team guys that just represents himself really well. So hopefully we saw him as a fantastic run stopper, very athletic, had a great role at Texas. Maybe he can have a role here with the Titans. So they had Jaron Thompson for like a day and then cut him the next day or moved him around. But he is a former Longhorn too, who transferred out, but he was with the Titans for like a day or two.
Good old NFL. I know if we're doing realistic expectations. So where are we? So I think everyone would agree we're in a rebuild. We're rebuilding.
Right.
But the hope is better than 3 wins. So where would you say, like, I guess, well, I mean, that's why I'm like, so what?
Of course, the hope is,
Yeah, if we're having this conversation, the season just ended. What would you say like success will have looked like?
So when I talk about identity and toughness, that defending home field is huge. If you want your fans to stay supportive and invested and really give yourself a home field advantage, and especially in cities like Nashville, like we know we see it in Vegas or Dallas or places where people want to come to those games, to those stadiums, those venues. Nashville's a party city. When you look on TV and there's a ton of the other fans there, but that also has to do with the Tennessee Titans fans selling those tickets away. So I would like to see the hope for this next year is to defend their home better, like to have more pride and ownership of that stadium, and to fill then you're filling the seats with your own fans, and it's just a cycle, right? And then they're there to support you. So I think going 1-7, like I mentioned, 1-7 at home last year is not acceptable for any, professional program, sports program. So I would hope that they get more wins at home would be like a base start. Start having some pride in defending your home stadium.
I like
home field advantage. I think that would be huge. And then, like I mentioned, the turnovers, tripling your turnover differential is awful. So protecting the ball and having someone like Cam Ward, who has a history of caring for the ball and protecting the ball, combine that with these veteran receivers on each side, that should be a huge help in reducing the turnovers. So getting that number down, turnover margin, but also finding ways to create more turnovers would help that margin too.
So basically Super Bowl or bust is what you're saying.
No, I'm saying let's go. If they have what, 8 or 9 games at home, let's win 5 or 6 of those. Let's have a winning record at home. I'm going to reduce the number of turnovers, get that differential from away from -17, and have a winning record at home. I think that's a fair, reasonable,
very fair.
For the Titans.
Very fair.
Go hand in hand. You don't turn the ball over every game, at least twice. Maybe you don't lose so many games.
Maybe. So this question might be a hard one, but who do you think on the team is like the most underrated player, or maybe the player that like we don't hear about often because the team is so bad that you're like, yeah, we can't sit here and highlight so-and-so, although they're actually really good, but we've only won 3 games. Like, do you have a player where you're like, I really like him? I
would go with the running back Pollard. I think he didn't get enough respect for how much he did. He actually hit the 1,000-yard mark last season, and this is only in the regular season because they didn't have no playoff games. But Tony Pollard, I talked about him coming from Dallas and the role he played. He can run and catch the ball. They can find creative ways to use him. I think this year they'll find even more creative ways to use him with the little experience in film now with him with the team. So I think Tony Pollard, the role he's playing, leading the team in rushing, and then they did draft a young running back. We'll see what role they have, but I think that's a player that maybe needs a little more love.
I like it.
I
like it. Okay. What is a hot take about the Titans that other fans might not agree with you?
That they're at least 3 years away from winning anything. Competing for a division. I would just say at least 3 years away from competing for a division. They have to get this young rookie quarterback with the looks to be in a completely new offensive line again, in step, all working together. And they've got to they've drafted a lot of defense this year, just like they did last year with the new coach. So it's gonna take time. It's gonna be a young team for a little bit.
Okay. If you were GM for one day, what would be the first move you would make?
I love the Houston Texans, actually, growing up Houston Texans, but I think they cry so much about the Oilers logo, the rig, the oil rig. So if I were GM, I would make everything Oilers logo for 5 years. Like, you can't buy anything.
You would just go for it.
I would go full trolling with the Oilers logo on everything. I know they do the throwbacks and those special days where they do the Oiler Day, but no, I would be Tennessee Oilers for 5 years because you can. And just hear the Houston Texans cry about it. That's just me being petty.
Might as well listen. Might as well. Whatever it takes.
And I cheer for the Texans. Other than other than the 2 games a year, I cheer for the Texans. I like CJ Stroud. I love what the team is building there. They're scary good. They're going to be, fantastic competition for the Titans for a while. And but I mean, what else do we have to hold over them? We don't have any W's right now to hold over them.
So you troll. I'm all for that. I am all for that.
I'm just being
before we get to the overtime round, I didn't prepare you for this, so just I want to ask you, what is your Texas prediction for the season?
Texas Longhorns?
Do you have any thoughts? Like, And I'm asking you this strategically in May because I'm totally aware there's so many things that need to happen. Summer is about to kick off. We need to get in training camp. We need to make, I know, but I'm just kind of curious to know like what you think. And I don't think I've asked you, so I'm just curious.
I'm going to stick with 10 wins SEC championship game.
Okay. Awesome. And my other question is,
okay,
what does Colin Simmons eat? Because I need to get on his plan. I'm just kidding.
Oh my goodness. Phenom. Best
I'm so enamored. I'm like, bro.
Best defensive college player, maybe coming back next year.
Man,
he should win everything, every award.
Yeah.
I know he doesn't go for the individual accolades, but they will come. They will come.
And like, if you're watching this and you're a Texas fan and you don't know Colin Simmons' like story, background, you've never watched anything on Colin Simmons and you already love him, go watch even more. And you're going to be like, this guy, really?
He's an amazing student athlete. And did you see just today they announced the new Texas football GPA of 3.31, which is
I saw
highest team GPA ever. The way Sark always talks about how they all go together. I just think about how fantastic players like Colin Simmons are, but also they're so smart and doing it in the classroom too.
At a school like Texas. And, I didn't I always say people are like, you have pretty girl privilege because you're a Texas fan. And I'm like, really? But I didn't realize what that meant until I started hearing how people talk about Texas. And they're like, you guys have money. You're in Austin. You have this. You have this. And I'm like, oh, okay. I get it now. But also they're doing what they need to do. So there's part of this where you're like, we used to have it and we used to be awful.
There's lots of schools with money and facilities and all the things, but they don't win.
And they're not Austin. They're not in Austin.
And there's teams that win that do it despite not having the money. And one doesn't equal the other. You still have all the pieces still have to come together.
And they do everything. And I think that's the issue is it's everything. It's not only are they winning, they're getting a good athletes. They're doing all the things right. And so anyways, it's a great time to be a Texas Longhorn fan right now. Okay.
Yes,
we've had years where it wasn't a great time. We've had years. Okay. We've gotten it out of the mud. So leave us alone while we're on this. Okay. So,
we're doing all right. They've been ranked number 1 in how many different sports this year? Like it's crazy.
SEC was going to be all these things. I'm like, no, y'all just didn't know who Texas was. Now it's starting to click. Y'all didn't even know we're not just a football school, just like your school. Like we're actually
right. And they're about to secure the Director's Cup again for the 4th time in 5 years.
I love it.
Amazing.
Yeah, I love it. So let's get to this overtime round about these Titans. Okay. And I'm actually kind of curious to see what you're going to say about some of these. So I pitched these as like a cool, like 4th quarter, like overtime, you have 4 downs. And that's so cheesy. And I'm like, I love it even more now that like, at first I was like, this is cheesy, but now I'm like, yes, this is perfect. So it's kind of like what is it called? Like a fast round or quick round or whatever.
Yeah. Like rapid fire.
There it is. Rapid fire. That's why we're friends. Which division rival do you love to hate the most and why?
I mean, Indianapolis is whatever. Houston, I actually respect. I would go with the Jags because they actually brought Urban Meyer into their program, and that is sleaze. So the Jaguars.
Okay, I didn't see that one coming. Okay. If you could change one thing about your franchise, what would it be? So ownership, logo, uniforms, location, whatever you would change.
I would say just run the dang ball. Help, especially with this new quarterback. I wish they ran the ball more. More, but that that goes with.
So you would change the offense from the offensive guru. Like you would be like, bro, like actually run an offense.
I'm waiting to see offensive guru. So let's see. I wish there was more. I wish there was an identity on this team, right? Like I talked about, and a good, strong, in your face, we're going to run it. And we're going to run it. And we run it anyway, kind of offense, kind of like what we used to have with Vrabel. I would like to see that back, but run the dang ball.
We'll see. And then if you could swap one player from your team with a player from your rival, who would it be and why?
Initially, my thought was CJ Stroud, because what a great young man who's leading the Texans. I mean, nothing but love, respect to him and what he's doing off the field, just charity work and involved in his community and really embracing Houston. But I'm going to go surprise you actually with the Jaguar player. Who should be with the Titans? I'm going to go with Travis Etienne. I just really respect his game. We went from Clemson. He got into the NFL. His first year with injuries, that foot injury right early in the season was like a preseason game or something. Yeah. But since then, 2 of his 3 years in the NFL, over 1,000 yards rushing. But you also have to add in, he already has over almost 800 yards receiving as well. I really love when backs find a way to make themselves productive. It's not in everyone's skill set, but if they have that skill set and they're willing to put those things out there for the team, I really respect Etienne's game, and I would take him on the Titans any day. This past year, shoulder, hamstring, all the things. So he didn't stack the numbers that he had been before, but still, I would take him, a healthy Etienne.
I love it. And then the final question is, describe your team's fan base in 3 words.
Friends, low places. Yeah. There you go.
The best thing about that is that you knew you were going to say that. So I just cannot. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was funny. Okay. I'm a Black woman and my face is almost red because that was so funny. And it's 1,000 degrees right now.
Titans fans are loyal, and I've been a Titans fan for 20 something years already, and literally my whole life, because they were Oilers before, and when they moved to Nashville in '97, almost 30 years now, stayed following the Titans, and the roller coaster ride. It takes some loyalty, and I just saw a guy who had this massive back tattoo of the Dallas Cowboys that he got tattooed over with a horrible Chiefs tattoo. The tattoo is bad, but he covered, I'll send you the link. He covered over his Cowboys tattoo with a Chiefs tattoo. Okay. And I mean, that's cheer for whoever you like. We all have teams that we cheer for, and times change and all that. But oh my goodness, I don't have a Titans tattoo, but if I did, I wouldn't go cover it with a Bengals tattoo in a few years. I'm riding with the Titans.
The Bengals take a stray. Hey, it is what it is. That's where your coach came from. That's why I'm actually surprised, and maybe he just didn't have the personnel. I'm actually surprised by what that offense looked like last year. But again, maybe he didn't have the personnel, and it was his first time being a head coach. So maybe he needed some on-the-job training. And I know we always act like people show up to jobs ready to go. They don't. So maybe he learned a little bit last year and is adjusting. But I was actually shocked that the offense looked like it did last year. So
yeah, the only good thing that did help, as with his 5 years as an OC experience, was there wasn't a lot of this just time mismanagement or big, ridiculous, glaring coaching errors. That's what makes me think it's just the pieces he had to work with that wasn't his roster, and it takes time to get his and his staff's roster. So with all these turnovers on the offensive line, he got the quarterback they wanted, brought in some veteran, the veteran wide receivers back-to-back years, and let's see what they can do.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, anything else
win at home. Maybe win at home.
Maybe you win at home. Anything else that you want to share with us? As I do with all the episodes, your information will be in the description below, so everybody can go look at it. I'll obviously put your Twitter on there as well. If you're not following Rocky on Twitter, you definitely should be following Rocky on Twitter. People usually come for her for the dumbest things, and then she lets them know that they're very dumb in the most petty, effective way, which I will always appreciate, because anybody
not to water the weeds, my friend April says, don't water the weeds, but every now and then someone needs to get smoked.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, that's what people say stuff in my things all the time. They're like, why don't you go cook instead of talking football? And I'm like, because I can actually cook and talk football. So what's your next thing? And they're like, ugh. I'm like, just who says that?
Who says that? Some people, I don't know how that they're getting joy, or I know they're not happy people. When they get on an attack either your appearance or your being a woman or your race or whatever they attack, because it happens. If they get on and attack those things, that says nothing about me. It says everything about that person who had nothing better to do with their day than try to be mean.
Yeah.
And most of that, I let it go. Usually I just delete them or block them or whatever. But every now and then I got to bust out this Titan flame right here.
Yeah. You got to let them know. You just got to let them know. So awesome. Anything else? You said the Titan flame. I just heard that. That's so funny. Anything else you want to share with us?
No, just excited for the summer and excited for Longhorns. See what happens with, Longhorns camp.
Archmania.
Archmania, and bring it on, let there be all the Archmania clicks, but no, he is not leaving after the first year.
Oh gosh, if I hear that one more time, I'm like, you guys, let's stop.
They already have him as the number 1 draft pick next year, but his family has made it clear he's not leaving for the draft after 1 year of starting. They want him to have 25, 30 starts under his belt. And what's the hurry? He's making $100 million now.
I've been saying this over and over. I'm like, listen,
not 100, but
everybody leaves to go to the NFL because of the money, and you need the things that NFL brings. He doesn't need anything the NFL brings. Matter of fact, he could never play football again starting tomorrow, and he would be fine.
Right.
So I'm like, it's not the same. People, like, I know that it's hard for us to fathom his level of, whatever, but like, it exists. I mean, he's a Manning, for crying out loud. So no matter what you think about him, and I know he's going to go through his things and he's going to have his things, but like at the end of the day, his last name is still Manning. So, and he's going to have bad games, people. He's going to have bad games. He's going to look rusty. He's going to look not good. He's going to look slow. Sometimes maybe he's going to do dumb things. He's going to do all. So like, prepare yourself. Let's start preparing ourselves for his growth. And the plan is that he's going to grow. Like that's
grow and develop and take his lump and hopefully he has a lot of fun at Texas while he's doing it. And
I agree.
Asking fanatics to be rational is it's going to be fun. I'm excited for the Manning moments. They're going to be great.
Me too. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you. You know that I adore you. Thank you for coming on, chatting with me. Thank you for being an amazing human. And I'm sure, we'll be in contact. We always find a way. I mean, you're a lot more social than I am, but
yes, get out with that, girl.
I'm that person. Everyone's like, you're so social. You're so social. I'm like, you don't even know.
But I love what you're doing, and congrats on the investment you're putting into your channel, your program. You have such great insight. You're always so prepared. I love it. I love talking with you aside from the channel too, but I love watching your stuff. I'm subscribed, of course. I love it. Just so proud of you.
Thank you. I appreciate you. And I will talk to you soon.
All right.